Hi YouTube. Today we're going to do a little bit of a quicker, simpler video. It's sunny outside, it's beautiful, we want to be cooking outside. Let's make a spatula.
And welcome back once again. Here is a test spatula that I made. I used it quite a bit, learned a couple things. One thing that I learned is that I wanted to make it a little bit bigger. I wanted a longer handle and just a little bit more to the blade of the spatula. So I went ahead and did my usual CAD here with the cardboard assisted design, and I bought some 3/16 stainless steel. As you can see, it's nice and shiny, and I'd like to kind of keep that finish as much as I can. The other one that I had, it had some weird finish on it, so I ground it off, and then I was like, well, I'm going to spend so much time grinding this and getting it smooth again. Why don't I just try and keep this nice shiny finish that this steel came with? So I decided to use some tape. Now, some of my more astute viewers are looking at this and they're thinking, but Noah, in the process of cutting this all out and grinding it and everything, isn't that the tape just going to get heated up and all jacked up and scraped off? And to that, I would say, wait, have you seen this video before? Because yeah, that you'll see later on. Marking out the dimensions of the spatulas, I'm going to make 4 out of this sheet of steel. And there you see I cut to all the boring stuff got cut out there, drawn out. And then now it is time to cut these things out. The portaband is wonderful. It's a great little tool. However, it is fairly limited. And you can see here that I wasn't quite able to cut all the way through this, even pulling it up like that. So I ended up having to resort to a jigsaw with a metal blade on there. As you can imagine, that sucked, so I just went ahead and did that off camera. Grinding the profile pretty close to shape here on the old 2x72. And while I'm doing that, let's just go ahead and get the fun fact out of the way early on in the video. This one was pretty good when my kid told me this one just the other day. Did you know that cookie cutter sharks are known to attack submarines? So I had to look this up. Apparently during the Cold War, there was some softer parts on the submarines. And the cookie cutter sharks, if you're not familiar, they kind of latch on and they create these little circular bites. And you can see them on larger animals, sharks and whales and stuff. But yeah, they were actually taking the instruments out on these submarines, and they had to return to port because they had no navigation. I just thought that was absolutely wild. And a pretty cool fun fact brought to you by my son, Ben. All right, now it is time to drill some holes in this. You might notice at this point that it looks like the surroundings are a little bit different. Well, that's because I moved shops in the middle of this process. So more on that later. Drilling the holes for the handle pins. And then oversizing that last one because we're actually going to put a lanyard hole there. And you'll see why later on. Got to countersink those holes, get all the burrs off. And now it is time to mark up some handle material. I skipped all the prep work for the handles. Some of these were in blocks. I had to split them, that sort of thing. Shortening them all down to a 5.5-inch handle for each one. Back on the portaband. Making sure that these are all as close to the same as possible. And then this is some pretty cool stuff. So these are some temporary pins I got from KH Daily. And they work really well for lining everything up while you're drilling the holes. As you can see, they're holding everything in place. As always, we got to make sure that these scales are perfectly flat before they go on to the handle. And the disc sander is the way to go for that. Now, using those temporary pins, holding everything in place nice and tight, we're shaping these things to the size of the tang. I guess it's still a tang, even though it's not a knife. But anyways, yeah, get those things all shaped up. And then putting a 45-degree angle on the front of them for comfort. And so you don't just have like a big waterfall knock off at the end there. Doing 4 at a time, kind of like a little mini batch work. It's kind of fun when you do batch work. You got to do all the processes 4 at a time, or however many you're doing at a time, instead of just working on one knife. Routering the edges to make everything nice and consistent all the way around. And then, of course, those are going to get cleaned up with hand sanding later. But, man, bending these things was kind of a nightmare. So I didn't really have a vise that was big enough to hold the whole blade, so I ended up trying to use my press, as you can see, with some struggles. And I'm trying to use wood to knock the angle in there because I'm trying not to mar up this surface as much as possible, and you can see right there that the tape has already started to tear in places. So I ended up having to go to a Scotch-Brite belt and just trying to clean up the surface of these, and honestly, in the end, I'm not really perfectly happy with them. Yes, they're spatulas. They're going to get scraped up and everything like that, but they don't have the fit and finish that I would normally have on like a knife, say. So I made them as nice as I could, but at the end of the day, I kind of had to let go in certain spots just to make sure that these things got done. And are they perfect? No. Are they great spatulas? Yeah, absolutely. Putting a very slight edge on these things to make sure that they slide under food well, but not quite sharp. And the one thing that I noticed is that most griddles aren't perfectly flat, so you don't want an actually perfectly square blade on it. So you can see me there just putting a very slight radius on there to make sure that you don't just have the corners of the spatula digging into the griddle. Now it's time to glue all of them up. I just recorded me gluing up one. I mean, honestly, you don't really want to see me do all four, but a lot of work getting everything cleaned up, and then here's where that looks after they're all glued up. Now we're on the home stretch, cutting off the excess of the handle pins. I use G10 pins for a lot of stuff like this. It's really great because it doesn't heat up as much as stainless pins. Some people would say it doesn't look quite as classy, but man, I really like just kind of like the black and whatever color the handle is. I like the way it looks. And they work just as good as stainless pins, and they're just a lot easier to work with. Cleaning everything up on the grinder, and then, yes, hand sanding. I didn't escape from hand sanding, even on a project like this. And then over to a nice final buff. I did set up my buffing wheel again, even though I still have my my hyperdisc. With all the room that I have in the new shop, it was nice to have all the different buffing wheels for all the different uses. And one of the things that bugs me on, when you buy like a spatula from the store or something, there's always sharp edges that are kind of like right near the handle. So I'm trying to make a spatula that I would want to use. So I went through and I used the Scotch-Brite belt to clean up all the different angles and stuff like that, so there's no sharp edges where you want your hands to be. This is a sweet little tool for cutting leather strips. I wanted to use leather because it's a little bit classier than, say, paracord. If people want to hang these next to their grill or hang them up in their kitchen or pantry, I wanted to make sure that they were able to do that. So we cut a little strip of that and then tied ourselves a little loop. As you can see, I'm not the greatest when it comes to this. You can see my butterfingers at work trying to tie a knot in some leather here. In my defense, it's pretty thick, so it's kind of difficult, but, I got it done. And, of course, nothing would be complete if it didn't get a laser mark on it. Putting my logo on the backside of the spatulas. So it's there, but it's not like front and center or anything like that. And here we go.
Thanks for following along, guys, with the spatula build. This is my first time making these, and it was kind of tough, honestly. I know it seems simple, but like getting the bends on these perfectly, like I probably said in the voiceover, I mean, there's just some little marks and stuff. There's some scratches in the stainless that, I mean, I could have spent hours like hand sanding these and making them all perfect, but at the end of the day, they're spatulas, and so I kind of had to like just let go a little bit. So these will be up on the website right now. So if you want to get one of these, go snag one. The link is in the description. Another cool thing I have coming up is a new model. This is going to be the Trapper model. And it's pretty cool. The blade shape is based on a historic trapping blade that was used to all the early explorers as they were coming over here to settle the Northwest Territory. they were using this particular model of knife that had a very similar blade shape to this. Obviously, I didn't rip it off one-to-one, but I wanted to kind of pay homage to the trappers and the hardcore guys who came over here and settled this area that I live in. Along with that, I'm going to have another set of Stilicos dropping on the website very soon. So the 4-inch and the 2-inch skinner are going to be up and available very soon. I'm working on these right now. And then go check out these spatulas on the website. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from videos. I'm not doing a video on doing the Stilicos. I'm getting a little burnt out at having to film every little thing in the shop. So I got a lot of stuff to do, setting up the new shop still, and then getting some knives ready to sell. So check out my shorts and then follow me on Instagram for all of my Instagram reels and stories where I'll be posting content in the meantime. Next build video will be whenever I get a cool build that I feel like deserves a YouTube video. Until then, cheers.